So I'm going to start with a strike that began on the Sunday before Labor Day and may be continuing depending on where you are. It has to do with hotel workers, the people who check you in, check you out, clean the room, clean the facilities, make it an experience you look for and remember rather than one that makes you remember in the other sense of horror. These are very hard-working people. They are not well paid in general by the standards we hold up, and they work at something that makes the rest of us comfortable. And before I jump into the strike, 10,000 of them have just launched in these early days of September. I want to talk about the strike of the auto workers many months ago, where they did something extraordinary. They urged everybody, and they made sure for themselves, that all their contracts end the last day of April of 2028. That might seem like a terrible long time from now, but it isn't. Labor union contracts typically run 3 to 5 years. That's about 3.5. Now, it's really important to understand the point of that. If they all come due at the same time, then the power of saying, look, we're going to go on strike because you don't meet us halfway as workers when they speak to management, that argument goes a lot further when it's lots of workers that are going to stop working on that day. Every strike is a struggle that has costs on both sides. The company doesn't make profits if the workers are on strike. That hurts the company. The workers don't get paid when they're on strike. That hurts the workers. And the idea is the mutual pain will lead them to make an agreement, to compromise enough to reach an agreement that will stop the pain for both of them. That's, by the way, why, as I'll come to later in the program, unions don't want the government to intervene, as it just has in Canada with the strike of the 2 major railroads there. All right, let's come back. What's going on? The hotel workers across America, 10,000 of them, in about 19 different cities, they don't want to continue working in the way that was forced on them during and after the pandemic. At that time, when hotels were having a lot of difficulty getting people to come there for health reasons, they took it out on their workers. When the pandemic eased and was over, they didn't hire back all the workers that used to work. They hired back a small portion of them and told them they now had to do the work that used to be done by many more employees. That was good for the hotels. They saved on all those wages to those workers they didn't hire back. But it was horrible for those who did get hired back, needed and wanted the job. They too had been hurt by the pandemic. And so they waited for a while, gave the hotels a chance to get their occupancy up, to make money so that they could return to behaving decently towards their workers. But they discovered, as workers so often do, that the employers saw an opportunity and grabbed it. So the conditions didn't get better. Yeah, the profits went back up. Hotels have had their best year in the last year since the pandemic, outdoing the last year before the pandemic. They're back up, but they don't want to share that with their workers. Isn't that their usual behavior? Pretty much. And so they're going to have to be forced to, and the workers said, we will go on strike if you don't improve the conditions. They've been bargaining this for many months. The companies didn't come across. Okay, so now there is a strike. And what's going on is another move, like the auto workers, towards a general strike. In the past, the hotel workers have struck one hotel or another. This is the first time you have a nationwide strike against 19 cities, maybe 21 by now, and it involves, as I say, 10,000 or more workers. This, too, is a movement towards what? A movement towards a moment when all the workers in an industry like hotels, or in an industry like automobiles, or in whatever other industries can join the process, in which the workers understand if they all do something together at the same time, they will have much more power to get the result they're looking for than if they don't get together. And you know what that is? A recognition of the power of people getting together. And that's what unions always were. That's what they are now. Only they're beginning to understand that if they can't get the kind of jobs, job conditions, income, security that they need individually, maybe they have to all get together. Maybe instead of a strike at an individual workplace, it's a strike at all of the similar workplaces within an industry. And if they can't use that degree of organization to win, well, maybe they have to do what is called in the history of the labor movement a general strike, where everybody goes out. When you can't get the needs met any other way, you move to a general strike. Interestingly, after 2.5 years of struggle, maybe more, depending on how you count, but certainly since last October, the horror in Gaza, the war between Israel and the Hamas organization, has led to a movement in Israel getting stronger by the week against all of this, in favor of a ceasefire, in favor of that as a way to get the hostages returned. And when that didn't work, and when the people, even going out into the streets week after week, they appealed over the Labor Day weekend to the labor movement in Israel, which responded by saying, okay, Monday, our Labor Day, it's not the same holiday in Israel, the workers of Israel went out on a general strike for the ceasefire, for the return of hostages, against the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. Very clear, massive demonstrations, closing Tel Aviv, etc. The general strike is in the air, there and here. My next update has to do with a merger being fought out in the courts. The government is against it. The two largest supermarket chains in the United States, one named Kroger, the other one named Albertsons. And they have many other names because they hold on to the names of the companies they've bought. But those are the two largest supermarket chains. They want to merge. If they merge, Kroger has offered $24 billion to buy Albertson. If they merge, they would have 5,000 stores and 710,000 employees. They would be the third largest retailer in America after Amazon and Walmart. You see what's happening? The merchants are becoming monopolized. They're going to be able to go to all the food producers and say, we're the three companies that buy all your food, since Walmart and Amazon now provide food, too, to all of the people who order through them or buy at them. So they'll be able to tell all the farmers and all the food providers, we're going to pay you only this little bit because you have to sell to us because there's hardly anybody else